We are in Skopje, North Macedonia, and unfortunately we are only here for a day, but that just means we're going to have to make the most of today. So we're getting an early start and we're going to go see as much as we possibly can.
We really haven't gone out for breakfast much on this trip, but since we're getting out so early and it's going to be a long day, we figured this was a perfect day to do that. We've also heard that the neighborhood we're staying in has a lot of cute cafes and coffee shops, so we have a lot to choose from. We just picked up some fruit cups, and since these are easy to take on the go, we figured we'd just start walking to our next stop and eat them there, so we'd have a pretty nice view and not as far of a walk after we're done. This is a much better view for breakfast than we would have had in the cafe.
Our first stop is a church, and we've gone to quite a few on this trip, but this one is actually very different from the others. And I think that'll be a really common trend all throughout Skopje. This town was almost completely destroyed in an earthquake in 1963, and they've done their best to completely rebuild the city. There's been massive efforts to build some really interesting buildings and statues and monuments and things. And this is definitely one of those. This was built in 1990, and it's completely different from any church we've seen. There's massive arches going all around it. There's beautiful artwork on the sides, and it's just incredibly unique. And it makes me excited to see the rest of the city because I've heard that this city as a whole is extremely unique.
This is so much more food than I expected it to feel like. I also learned today that I don't really like chia seeds. I think they're pretty gross, so.
And it's like 60% chia seeds.
Yeah, there's so many chia seeds in here. I'm not a fan, I'm sorry. Hopefully they're healthy enough that it makes up for it.
I realized I forgot to mention the name of this church, even though I already kind of did an explanation of it. It is the Sveti, I'm trying to read the Cyrillic alphabet. I'm trying to get better at it. It's the Sveti Clement Ohridsky Church, the St. Clement's Church of Ohrid, but it's actually in Skopje, not in Ohrid where we just were. I mentioned this in another video, but one of my favorite things about traveling in this region of the world has been trying to decipher the Cyrillic alphabet. I just think the letters look so incredibly cool, and every chance I get, every word I see on the side of a building, I take the chance to try and spell it out in my head, and it's just a really fun thing about traveling through these Eastern European countries. Sabrina doesn't think it's quite as fun.
I really don't like this.
Action. What?
I think it's incredibly cool. I just am not trying to learn it as actively as you are. Gosh, trying to make me sound so bad.
Sabrina hates other cultures.
Thanks. I love seeing the language. I think it's incredibly cool. I almost find it cooler that I don't know what it says. I think
what? That doesn't make any sense.
It looking foreign and like not understanding the letters, I think that makes it cooler.
I think
no, like not cooler,
I think understanding the foreign, like recognizing that it looks so different and being able to like, oh, I can at least sound that out. And a lot of the words, what's so cool about it is a lot of the words are very, very similar to English, and especially to other Balkan languages. But it's just a completely different alphabets. Like if you don't know what it is, then it's just like it looks completely foreign. It might as well be like Mandarin or something.
I think the contrast between your perspective and my perspective is interesting because you can see what it is and tell me what it is. But I just have the I don't know. I think it's really cool to be in a place where the language and the alphabet is just so different than anything that I've ever seen, that it just reminds me how different of a place that we're in to not be able to understand it. I like that part of it. I do think it's really, really cool to know what the letters are, and maybe I'll try soon, but like I'm appreciating. I think it's very interesting to just look at the different alphabet.
I'll be in the same boat as her though once we get to Georgia. Georgia's alphabet looks crazy. It just all looks like W's. So So I think that'll be really interesting, and I'll have no idea what's going on there. The saint seems to be pointing at the cross towards the best Euro sign.
It does look like that.
It must be a sign that we have to go there.
Doesn't that mean it's a sign that it's sinning?
Demonic. Oh, it's casting the demons out of the best Euro. Okay, maybe we shouldn't go. After academic tome Serafimovsky. I assume this means academic.
What about the rest of it?
I don't know.
We're gonna see how much it is to go inside. I'd imagine it's just a few dollars, but if it's any more than that, we might just move on to the next spot. But this seems like it'd be a pretty awesome church to go inside. It's seriously so unique compared to everything else we've seen. There actually wasn't any entrance fee, so we did go in there for a little while, and I'm so happy we did. That was so interesting. Everything about it. I mean, obviously the shape you can see from the outside is really unique, but also it seemed to me like there were two different styles of art in there. One of which was like very colorful, a lot of blues, a lot of paintings.
Yeah, blue was really cool.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. But then another part was like in the main area of the church. It was more like gold and bronze and just an older, or I don't know, older, but just very different. So I'm interested to know why there were those two styles combined. And maybe they're not. Maybe that's not what's happening. But
yeah, it's so interesting because it was built in 1990. I think it may have been built on level church from the earthquake, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But there were paintings in there that weren't even completely finished yet.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. I forgot. I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
too.
They just had the outline of what they were going to paint. So that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm really happy we went in there. It was a really, really cool church. Very interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to the St. Clement in Ohrid, because that one I think actually was a really old church, and they just really restored it. But this one is very new, and so just all the colors were incredibly vibrant.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a change from most of the churches that we've seen.
Yeah.
Since the city of Skopje was mostly leveled in the 60s due to an earthquake, they've had a chance to kind of reinvent themselves, and it seems like it's going to be really, really fascinating to go around and see this town, because what they've seemed to have gone for is like a bigger is better attitude. There are so many different statues and monuments around that it's actually been referred to as the Las Vegas of the Balkans, just because there's so many larger than life statues. And we're actually going to the Macedonia Square right now, and I think there's over 100 statues and a bunch of new facades on the buildings, just all very new. And so it should be a pretty interesting day tour.
Since we didn't get any coffee for breakfast, I feel like I'm about ready for our first coffee stop of the day.
We had an espresso at the apartment.
That was like 6 hours ago.
It was not. Buildings like this are just so interesting, because pretty much everywhere else where you would see like old-ish looking buildings, they would be. But like these have all been built in the past like 50 years. So it's just really interesting that they've chosen to kind of mimic old styles, and that's actually a lot of what they've been going for. Apparently they're trying to make it feel like a more classical European city, and so it's just it's weird because it's all a little fake. It's very interesting that that all of this old looking architecture is actually very, very new.
This is gonna be the first town we've been in a while where there's a fortress and we're choosing not to go to it. It feels wrong. And there's so much else that we need to do today. Not that we want to do today. Maybe this will be the end of our fortress era.
No.
No?
No.
So we're halfway across this bridge, and we look across the river to see this bridge, which is a really famous bridge in this town. Do you know what it's called?
No, I forget.
I forget what it's called. We'll look at what it's called. But because that's the most famous bridge, we realized that the square that we're trying to get to is right here. So, yeah.
Yeah, that bridge apparently actually separates the old from the new parts of town. Stuff on that side, the old side, is more of like, there's the old bazaar, which actually wasn't destroyed as much by the earthquake, but then everything on this side has pretty much been redone, and so like this is going to be where all of like the comically large buildings are, and just really absurdly big statues and stuff. So we're going to start over here, and then we'll head over to like the bazaar and more old side.
Whoa, I found the first large statues.
That's a cool one.
The tree?
Yeah.
Oh.
You thought that was a tree?
I knew the white part obviously wasn't a tree, but I thought it was a real tree around it until I looked up and saw a butt. That's funny.
Very much not a real tree.
We've made it to our first up close, larger than life statue. Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. That's crazy. You're like half the height of just the platform.
Just wait until we get to the main statue, the Alexander statue.
Yeah. Well, you can see it from here. I assume that's this, right, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot, it does not show how large it is right now, but yeah, that's gonna be wild to stand right under.
Genuinely, it looks like it's gonna be like 10 times my height.
Seriously. Yeah, I mean, this is like 4 times your height at least.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
These statues are just everywhere. There's 2 right here, one that kind of blends in with the trees. This one, these guys, the massive one. This is crazy. This is so crazy. We really enjoy being in smaller towns and getting like a little bit of a more local experience, even if we are in touristy towns. But this is a huge reason why I miss being in cities. This square is just so incredible. It's so unique. This is so crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get this at really any other place. Like, it genuinely does feel like Las Vegas.
Yeah, a little bit. Even the lion's bigger than you. Jeez. I don't have words for this thing. This, especially with like the water coming out of it, it almost feels like an amusement park ride. Like, it's that big. It feels like it's a ride.
There should be a slide coming off of it.
Yeah.
And in the center, the grand central piece of it all, the Skopje beer sign right in the middle. Even though a lot of the artwork in this square and in the city in general is like kind of absurdly big, there is a lot of cultural significance in it. A lot of it are monuments to important people or events in the past. And this gate that we're at currently is actually a monument to the struggle that the Macedonians had for independence in the 40s. And so, yeah, there really is just a lot of cultural significance. It's just wrapped up in these massive statues and monuments and buildings. So it's very, very interesting compared to other places we've been.
One thing that I really liked about this city, and it's such an odd thing, but I really like that they have these double-decker buses. That they're not tourist buses. When we got here, I thought they were like the typical hop-on, hop-off buses that you see in most popular towns in Europe. But they're actually like just transit buses that people use to get around the town. And I know that's a tiny little thing that's not that interesting, but I'm easily fascinated and I've really enjoyed seeing all the double-decker buses go by. Another interesting thing about this town is that this is where Mother Teresa was born. So we just walked up to the Memorial House of Mother Teresa and it looks like it's open. So we're gonna go inside for a little bit and learn about Mother Teresa. Maybe it's not open. I think it's actually closed. There's just people walking around the outside portion, I guess, but it doesn't look like...
I think it's closed for cleaning for 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
That's it.
Okay, well maybe we'll wait it out for a few minutes and hopefully we can go inside. Luckily, this is just right behind us, so I guess we'll spend some time there while we're waiting for it to open back up. I don't really know if either of us know what this is or if it was on our radars at all, so we're gonna see if we can find any kind of information on it. It's under construction right now, at least this tower is, so I don't know if we can even get inside the grounds at all. Wow. Well, it does not look like we can go inside.
No?
This thing is so cool. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but all of the like this area just has such detailed engravings into the stone. It's so cool. Unfortunately, it looks like this is totally closed for construction, so second change of plan, we're gonna go to a museum. Fingers crossed that one's not closed.
I wonder.
I don't know
It's
what
not a working
it is.
elevator.
I have no idea. I'm gonna assume this elevator doesn't work, but like it very well could. There's
There's a
nothing actually
strap.
blocking it. It might work. That'd be a cool elevator to go into.
Yeah, it would. That's a bookstore and coffee shop.
Really?
Like we could get coffee. You want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is so cute. Wow. Still have no idea what this is, but right next to it, it says apartments to rent. Don't know if that's somebody's home, but that would be so awesome if somebody lives there. Apparently that elevator does work, and it's for people who rent the apartments up there. Such an awesome place to live. I can't imagine just like every part of this is so cool. Like across the street from the Memorial House of Mother Teresa, across the street from the Museum of the City of Skopje, with that elevator and just all this architecture with a cool coffee shop at the bottom.
And it's a
I don't know
bookstore.
how you get more perfect. What?
And it's a bookstore.
And it's a bookstore. This is like a dream place to live. I mean, I don't know anything about the area other than everything I just said, but this is so cool. That's so cool. I love that. We had so many plan changes in such a small amount of time, but it worked out for me because I got some coffee, and now the Mother Teresa house should be back open, so we're gonna head back over there and see if we can go inside this time. Man, I wish we could go in and see this.
Yeah.
Still so crazy.
So I've learned the type of architecture that I like that you make fun of me for liking. It's called brutalist architecture.
I don't make fun of you for liking
Well, you
it.
think it's funny? Like the big concrete buildings.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Very gray.
The buildings that I usually don't think are very interesting,
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
the communist era building.
Yeah.
I love.
I think this building is really, really interesting. The cleaning sign is off. The entrance is free of charge. I love that. Wow. Being able to experience stuff like this has been one of my favorite and least expected parts of traveling. Like, so many people know about Mother Teresa, but how many people can name where she's from? And we definitely couldn't before just a couple days ago doing research of this town. And just being able to travel and learn by traveling and learn about all these amazing things and people by visiting these cities is just such an incredible thing that I wasn't expecting with traveling, but I really enjoyed in all the places that we've gone. Something else that we learned in there that I thought was really fascinating was, for one, how recently she lived. I guess I really didn't know much or anything about her. She died in 1998, is that right? I think. She died in the 90s, and she became, the Pope declared her a saint in 2016. That's so recent and just so, I don't know, that's so cool. I really did not know that, and I don't know, I love just learning all these little details that I probably would have never learned if we weren't here experiencing these museums and memorial places. It's so amazing. We've already seen so much here, and we still have some things that we want to see today. So in order to not have a super long video, we're gonna break it in two and post something in another video for you guys. So we're gonna cut it off here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll show you the rest of the city in our next video.